Welcome to the Nerd Culture is Dead podcast. I'm your host and thoroughly a nerd, Zach. Today's topic will be horror movies. And to help me discuss this topic, today's guests will be Jen at Nerd Culture is Dead, and Todd, who is an author, comedian, and overall really cool guy. So let's go ahead and just cut this cadaver right open and talk about our favorite horror movies right off the bat, just to really go at it. Todd, favorite horror movie, go.
There's so many different genres of horror films. I think my favorite is an older movie, because a lot of people I feel like will say The Exorcist, and that's a solid horror film. I love this movie called The Changeling.
The Changeling, never heard of it.
It's with George C. Scott, and the reason I like it is because it is not there are no jump scares in this movie. It is genuinely a creepy movie, and the ghost isn't even evil in it, but just the atmosphere of the movie, the general. There are parts of that movie that when I think about, they give me chills because it's so kind of creepy. So yeah, I would say The Changeling. Check it out. It's an 80s movie.
Jen, do you have a favorite horror movie? I know you're not invested.
I get scared of everything. If I had to go on the spot with not really doing scary, I would maybe, I guess, go out of the box and say, like, Sweeney Todd. That's...
The musical?
Yeah. I don't know. I
dated a girl, and, you have these conversations, and I said, what's your favorite scary movie? And she said, Jumanji.
I could see someone being afraid of Jumanji. Like,
no, I mean, okay.
If they're really old.
Nope, she wasn't.
Oh, no.
So let's go. So for, like, legit movie, maybe Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Because that's the one scary movie I know I've actually seen all the way through, and it is genuinely pretty scary. Part of a big reason I'm not super fond of clowns.
But they were alien clowns.
Therefore, better clowns.
Yeah, you can shoot them in the nose.
I mean, I could shoot a regular clown in the nose, too.
No, but then you go to jail.
Yeah, that's murder.
Fair point.
What about you? What's your favorite?
Easily John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh, that's a good one. Do you see the prequel?
The 2011 prequel? Yeah. Yeah, I did. I
just like that there was some thought put into it.
Yeah, they tied everything together really well. The whole thing that made The Thing good in the first place was the practical effects.
Right.
And straying away from that to do CGI that was not even good CGI just kind of ruined that whole movie for everyone.
But, if you want to talk about, like, horror and just scenes from horror, I mean, tension is a really big part of horror. And that scene where they're testing people's blood is a very tense scene.
Well, the cinematography there where you're getting comfortable throughout the whole scene where they're zooming in on McCready's face to say, oh no, is he bad?
Yeah.
Zooms back out. No, he's not. Does the same thing over and over again 3 times until it changes on you.
Right.
Where it zooms on McCready's face, goes to the Petri dish, and it doesn't zoom back out.
Yeah.
It then jump scares you and shows you, oh no, that's the bad blood.
And the jump scare is a great tool. And like any tool, it can be overused to where it no longer has any effect. And I feel like that happens a lot, particularly more modern movies.
Especially with the ghost subgenre.
Yeah. They just want to do a jump scare.
After Paranormal Activity kind of went off the rails there.
You know what it's like? When the jump scare is overused, that's like when you're making love to someone and you pinch them and they say, ow! That doesn't mean you have a big dick. That just means you used a different tool to get the reaction you thought you wanted.
You know what it is? It's like eating candy corn, right?
Yeah.
You can always eat too much candy corn. You don't know when you've done it, but when you do, you know you've ate too much candy corn because it tastes disgusting.
It's the first bite. That's when you know you've eaten too much candy corn.
Once a year I can do it.
Yeah, no, you guys are both crazy.
Once a year. And it'll only be once a year, and it's usually just like one bag, and then I'm good.
Yeah, for me, sometimes it's half a bag. Sometimes I get the weird Starburst flavored candy corn.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow delicious.
Unrelated note, one time in elementary school for Halloween, we had a guess how many candy corn is in this jar. I guessed the number exactly. I won the whole jar, and I hate candy corn, so I was like, the fuck am I supposed to do with this?
They actually punished you.
Yeah.
How dare you be good at math?
I know.
I think the jump scare when it's done right is so good. Have you seen The Exorcist?
Yes, I have.
And have you?
I don't scary. I try not to.
You should you should watch The Exorcist just for its cultural significance.
That's
I've been
the
trying
standard
to get her to watch horror
exorcise
movies,
demon situation.
I will say The Exorcist, like watching it now, there's a whole probably 20 minutes of that movie at the beginning that could be cut out. Like where they're in the desert, the archaeology stuff. It has no real bearing to the rest of the story. And it kind of like
it'd probably be better off without it.
I think it would be better without it. But The Exorcist 2 is an absolute garbage movie.
Cash grab.
It's so bad. But The Exorcist 3 with George C. Scott, who was also in The Changeling, is a very good movie. Better than it has any right to be. And I was a kid. I was like 4 years old when my dad let me watch The Exorcist.
That is such a...
Well, it's good parenting. It's fine.
But here's what that did.
Much.
What that did for me is when something scary was on the screen, my brain understood the process of a movie. So when I'm seeing this scary thing happen and there's only two people in this room and that's what makes it so scary, my brain reminded me, no, there's a camera in there and there are about 50 other people standing around.
Okay, yeah, but what about The Ring?
There are about 70 other people standing around. But The Exorcist 3, my dad actually picked me up from school early to go see that in the theater. Now, when I was like a kid, the movie theaters were not these stadium seating things that they are today. In fact, I sound so old now with the movie theater seats themselves were wood with the padding on them. And I remember we were sitting in the back of the theater. Remember, I'm a child. My dad picked me up from school early to see this in the theater. And I'm sitting there with my feet propped up on the back of the chair in front of me. Mm-hmm. And there is a jump scare in that movie that still to this day, I will say is probably one of the best jump scares in any movie history, or in all of movie history. And when this moment, and if you've seen The Exorcist 3, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There is a scene in a hospital that I'm not going to spoil, but, and I have seen it on lists of like top scary movie moment, like those YouTube, what's that channel that does all those?
I know
like Watch Mojo.
Watch Mojo. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It might have actually been a Watch Mojo list.
Probably.
This moment happened in the movie theater. It's the first time that I ever had that hot adrenaline rush shoot through my body, and my legs straightened and I cracked that seat in front of me open. And I just remember going, oh my God. It involves a hallway. I went to my dad's house that night, and I remember my dad fell asleep on the couch while we were watching TV, and I had to go to the bathroom, and I looked down the hall of my dad's house.
Oh, no.
And all I could think about was that scene, and I'm like, no, I would rather piss my pants than walk down there.
Well, that's the kind of a telltale mark of a good horror movie, is when after the movie's done, the lights are out in your house.
It sticks with you.
That's the thing that gets me going.
I have to, I'm like, give me an hour with some cartoons so that I can actually maybe go to bed.
Oh, you know what? Like, when I was a kid and I would watch something scary, it never was like I love scary, but it was never like a bad thing. But I would definitely like go, hey, look, 24-hour golf is on the next channel. Like, that's daytime. My wife does not like scary movies. And she's a makeup artist, so she does like visual effects, like gore makeup. And she saw The Exorcist 3, and it was one of those. We had a bonding moment over that scene in particular that it scared the shit out of her as well. I can't recommend that movie enough.
It looks like we're gonna have to go on an Exorcist movie marathon here.
Oh, no.
And you don't have to know the first movie. It involves the first movie.
It's probably just character names, not plot relevance.
It's really the priest from the first movie. Like, what happened at the end of the first movie, as long as you know what that is, you can jump into this Exorcist 3.
Okay.
Do you have do you have like a favorite scary movie experience? Like not just the movie itself, but the experience surrounding.
I have no idea what the movie is. And I talked to my dad, but it was something I watched like in the background. Like I must have been passing by when my dad was watching the movie in the living room. I have no idea what it was. I've talked to him about it. He has no idea what it is.
Was it like a porn that he made himself?
I mean, it's possible, I guess, but it was some
Solo porn is so weird.
like it was some dark like fairy tale movie, and I walked in on a part and it was like a horse was eating a human being, and it was filmed from like inside of the horse. That's all I remember.
That's fucked up.
I don't know what it is.
Inside
and it was
of the horse?
Terrifying.
Hold on. While you're talking.
And I could be making it up. My dad thinks I'm making it up.
You had some sort of fever dream?
I don't think I'm making it up.
Man, Jen, like if this is what you're dreaming about, I'm a little scared.
There was this also. It was like, I think it was Truth or Dare. It was some newer shitty scary movie where.
The one on Netflix.
Sure, I don't know. And
The Brothers Grimm.
I mean, that sounds like it could be it. That
was
sounds
this
about
you?
Right. What do you mean? Was this what?
Am
I in a movie?
No, I looked up the question. I looked up horse eating man horror film, and this is the first thing. I saw my dad watching this when I was a kid, and I was never really able to identify it later on. At the time, it scared the crap out of me and my little kid brain. But now that I'm older, I want to find out what he was watching, because how weird the scene was. From what I can remember, this man in what looked like horse stables, and this was nighttime, and there was this weird-looking horse creature thing there with him, and its mouth jaws open super wide, like way beyond possible, and it devours the guy. That's pretty much all I remember, because I ran into my room and cried.
Okay, I don't remember posting that. I'm kind of hoping it's not me, because it verifies the fact that I'm not crazy making this up.
Now I want to find out who the person was that posted this. The answer is Brothers Grimm, a boy being eaten by a horse.
Yeah.
There's a clip. Do you want me to play the clip for you so you can
I mean,
relive that moment?
no.
Well, we'll do that later after the show.
I really want to find out if this is you.
God.
Did you ever post this question online?
I don't know. Maybe.
How wild would that be?
12 years later, just not knowing what the hell you posted online.
Oh, that's so funny. It sounds like something I would say, but I don't remember doing it.
The question was asked March 28th, 2019.
Oh, I doubt.
Are you username Crazy Lace anywhere?
No.
Oh, well, you know, you have a
You
have a special friend somewhere.
Woo! Thank you, Crazy Lace. I'm not insane. Take that, Dad.
I had the weirdest experience with a particular horror movie called Gerald's Game.
Right. That's in Netflix, right?
It is on Netflix, yeah. But it was a Stephen King novel to begin with that I read back in high school. And I had the weirdest interaction with that book where it's a couple whose marriage is failing. In order to spice up their life, they want to try some kinky shit. And
As you do.
As a Stephen King book does, everything happens to go wrong.
Right.
It gets very dark and sexual and existential, where the entire plot is done through one character after the first 10 minutes.
Now, isn't the general idea he handcuffs her to the bed and then he dies?
Correct. It gets really rapey, but she gets handcuffed to the bed with actual police handcuffs. He borrowed them from his friend, and she's apprehensive about the idea, but willing to try. And when she gets uncomfortable, he continues, and she kicks him in the chest and knocks him off the bed.
She murdered him.
He has a heart attack after being kicked off the bed, and he dies there on the ground.
This is why you need a safe word.
Safe words don't help you when you're
you're being raped. You're being raped, and you're in the middle of a subway going, pineapple, pineapple.
But it gets way darker from there, where she's strapped to this bed for days.
Yeah.
And I remember reading this back in high school, and
Getting so turned on that.
No, literally, I was like, you know what? This is why I like BDSM now.
Yeah, although you gotta
so
wear
much.
some sort of like a chest plate just in case you get kicked. So did you like the movie?
Absolutely loved it. It was so well done. Just the way they handled the perspective of it being one character for an hour and 20 minutes
Right.
was really well done. And from reading the book, I appreciated it more. But when I watched it, we watched it in the college lounge.
Yeah.
It was like 40 of us watching it. I was the only fucker who liked it.
Was it all dudes?
No, it was a pretty good mix.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say that'd be real weird because there's one dude in that crowd who's like, yeah, and everyone's like, hey, that's a rape, bro.
No. She said yes at one point. It's fine.
The original Paranormal Activity,
Oh boy.
like the original one, was made for $10,000, and I remember reading all these articles. It was like a video game developer who got $10,000, and most of that budget for that movie was spent on the camera itself. And they filmed this movie. It plays at this festival called Slam Dance, which is like a low budget film festival, and it kills. Like it people love it. And I'm reading all these stories about it, and this is like not too long ago. It's still around the time that I was like, I bet I can find a copy of this online. No way. You can't find a copy of it anywhere. Paramount bought it from the film festival with their original plan was to remake it.
Yeah, Paranormal Activity 2009.
And so it was actually a while ago.
It's hard to think 2009 was a while ago.
They wanted to remake it. And again, I'm reading all of this stuff, like I'm following this movie online. It's definitely not mainstream. Steven Spielberg watches it and then tells the people at Paramount, don't remake it. You'll ruin it. If you put more money into it, you'll ruin it.
Well, the whole thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's just a camera in a haunted house,
Right.
basically, right? Like, that's the whole movie?
Right. So they decided that they were going to do test cities because they didn't know if they wanted to do a wider release. So Orlando was one of the test cities. So I signed up immediately because I was like, I want to see this movie. And they were showing it out at Universal. That was the theater. And when I went there, this tells you a lot. This shows you how an experience can be influenced by everything else other than the movie itself. So when I was there, it was a completely sold out theater. And not only was it sold out, but it was sold out by people like me, who, because there were no commercials for this, you literally had to know about it online. Mm-hmm. I went to the screening. It was assigned seating. I was in the very back of the theater. Like that's where my seat ended up being, right under the projector. And you've seen it?
No.
But you've seen it. So it is a very slow burn movie. It's very slow. But there is one shot that they set you up with early on in the movie, and it's the couple laying in bed. Mm-hmm. So they show you this shot. Even when nothing happens, you see that shot. But eventually, as the movie goes on, every time you see that shot, something bad is going to happen. Well, by the end of the movie, and mind you, I'm at the very back of the theater, like looking down, I can see everyone's heads in the entire theater. Every time that shot would come on the screen, I would see everyone in the audience simultaneously adjust themselves in their seat. That was a fantastic movie experience. Then, like a couple months later, it did get its big theatrical release. I told all my friends, you guys, this movie is amazing. Let's go. We go to another theater, completely sold out, but everyone who's there is drunk or like rowdy. Mm-hmm. It was a very different movie experience. In fact, even when I was watching it, I was like, oh, it's not giving me the same chills that the first one did. But then I had my friends who saw it who were just kind of like, yeah, it was okay. It wasn't great. It was okay. The next day said, when I was laying in bed, all I could think about was that shot of the couple laying in bed. And that kind of shows you that it still was able to affect people. But then you get into the problem of sequels kind of ruining things.
Yeah, that's a big horror movie thing there where they make 12 sequels and it Just completely kills the franchise.
Yeah, well, because there's that greed of this made us. Imagine a movie that was $10,000 to make, but made, let's see.
Like what? 60 million.
Let's see. You think 60? Do you have a guess? Paranormal Activity, $193 million.
Oh, I was closer.
That's more than I make in a year.
That's more than I make ever.
The return on that investment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's... And the movie executives are like, yeah, we got to get that money again.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get more of that.
Yeah, here's another $10,000. Strike gold twice.
So, Jeepers Creepers. Have you guys seen that movie?
No.
Jeepers Creepers, filmed in Central Florida. I went to this theater, support local sort of thing. I hated it. I thought it was just a bad movie. And I hated it so much. I hated it more when I got home and I was laying in bed and I thought, someone gave them money for that.
Somebody pitched it.
And then they made a sequel. And the sequel made even more money. And the sequel did that thing where it was like, it breaks the rules of what the original sets.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, this thing can only come back every 23 years. Well, the sequel is only a few years later, and it's back. And it's like Nightmare on Elm Street, which is, I love Freddy. He's like my favorite of the slashers. Mm-hmm. What's the number one rule? Freddy can attack you when you're sleeping. So what is Freddy 2, Freddy's Revenge, Nightmare on Elm Street 2? What's the first thing that happens? He's killing people in the real world. So it's like, oh, he possessed some kid and he's slaughtering people at a party, and it's like, oh, you broke your rule. And then they went back to it in later sequels, but
the sequel already happened.
Yeah, you can't take it back.
Well, it's like saying don't feed the gremlins after midnight. The next, only feed them after midnight kind of bullshit, where it's just entirely
right. Well, who's midnight? What if I'm on a plane with these gremlins and we're passing the time zones? Like, does that, or, if...
The gremlins are why the time zone lines are as fucked up as they are.
Right. or if it's, all right, well, you can't get them wet. Well, what's their blood? Is their blood wet? Or if I cut one open, is just powder going to come out? I love Gremlins, though, too.
Or how wet do they have
I cried at the end of Gremlins.
Did you hear they're making a third one?
I did not.
Well, potentially.
I cried at the end of the first one when they had to give Gizmo back. I was so sad.
Yeah. But then in Gremlins 2, you got to see a gremlin with boobies.
Yeah, I thought you did.
Yeah, that was my favorite movie-going experience. But it had nothing to do with the movie itself. It was just the mindset that I was in, and not just me, but the audience around me.
Mm-hmm.
I will say to the movie theater experience, this is something that pisses me off. Is when, during the new Marvel movies, when everybody cheers every 10 fucking seconds. Don't get me wrong. Like, when it's the big Avengers movie, sure, yell, it's cool.
Yeah.
But I hate it when every time the hero wins, everybody fucking screams and claps and yells.
Right.
You know
that
what,
I hate.
You know what makes it so much worse is I've realized now, at 25, I'm considered old. Because there is some 17-year-old kid next to me, and he's purposely doing the loud, annoying cheer to make fun of everyone else, and he's making everything else worse.
That's awful.
I've never in my entire life wanted to punch a child in the face more than that very moment.
But you, what you're saying is, not to get off topic of horror, but just all movies in general. Mm-hmm. If the pandemic has taught me anything, I would rather watch a movie in my house.
100%. I would so much rather watch a movie at the house.
HBO Max is amazing.
Yeah, my TV has better resolution than most movie theater screens that I'll go to. I have surround sound. I can pause it if I have to pee, or if I want to go get another drink or whatever. I can stop it.
You can turn the lights off to create an ambiance for certain things.
Yeah. My TV is 75 inches. It's 4K. And my sound system is pretty good. It's a good. We have speakers that are built into our ceiling, and I would much rather recline on my own couch with my dogs and watch a movie and not have to deal with that or
an uncomfortable springy chair,
right? Or I remember
cup holders.
God, it was one of the Jurassic Park movies. I went to one of those midnight showings, and there was a baby in the theater, like a stroller with a baby in it.
And they're just crying the whole fucking time because it's loud.
Yeah, a loud T-Rex roars, and then this kid starts crying, and my thought is, what did you think was going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
What an intelligible parent there.
But like that's something that you kind of have to deal with. And then the movie theaters struggle, and they're like, we don't know why, and it's like, well, because it's a shitty environment.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know there was a theater that experimented with a room in the back of the theater with a glass wall so that parents could take kids in there and watch it and it wouldn't disrupt the rest of the theater.
Huh.
And, what's that? Cinemark?
Cinemax?
No, Cinemark Theater.
Okay.
If you were a member of their, like, rewards program, they had one per theater, but there was, like, a little pager, like a button, that if there was something going on, like the projector had an issue or you have a drunk person like running up and down the stairs, you push that button and someone would come in.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was cool.
Yeah, I tell you what, I've never been more uncomfortable in my life than when I had to walk into the lobby of a movie theater and tell the staff that somebody is sleeping in the movie theater and just snoring like crazy.
Oh, that is.
And then they go, okay, I need you to walk in and show me who. And you have to walk up and point at the fucking person.
Yeah.
There's nothing more uncomfortable than that.
And then the guy pulls out a gun, and now we're all famous on the news.
Or now you're scared that because he got kicked out and he knows it's you, that you're going to get mugged when you walk out of that movie theater.
Yeah, that's not... Hey, I've said this before. I would gladly pay $5 more for my movie theater ticket if I knew there's going to be an usher in that theater. And if someone is on their phone and that bright-ass screen is there, and the usher just comes up and goes, hey, you gotta turn that off or we're kicking you out. Like, yeah, I would gladly pay for a better experience.
You should get a grabber. Grab the cell phone right out of their hands, put it in a trash can.
And then fling it, and then they pull out a gun, and they say, I'm the Joker, bitch! And then it turns into a... You know that story, the guy who said he was the Joker and shot up the movie theater?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know this? I didn't know this. He never claimed to be the Joker. That was just something that was misreported, but then it spread. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that's why, like, when I said that guy who said he was the Joker, you're like, oh, yeah. Yeah, like green hair, or no, what was it, blue hair? Mm-hmm. But horror films...
To get back on topic here.
Real life is just as bad, guys.
Any subgenre of horror that really speaks to you?
I love the comedy horror hybrid. Like Evil Dead, Army of Darkness. Mm-hmm. But I also think that there is a connection between the two. Like if you watch something in a movie that scares the audience and the audience all screams at the same time, the next thing you hear is this laughter. And it's like it's a release. And the Jordan Peele, he did Key and Peele, a great sketch comedy show. He started making horror films, and everyone is shocked that they're so good. But I think there's a connection between natural comedic timing and the timing of a scare. Like when you're doing comedy, it's hard to tell people, wait this long and then say this line. They have to feel that timing.
It's eliciting a response out of someone.
Right. Oh, yeah. But I think that when you mix horror with comedy, and Inhuman is a horror zombie book, but it's also funny. Like, and that's my big thing is I want it to be funny because just sheer terror for the sake of terror is just going to be anxiety for people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And those movies have their own space, and that's fine. But what do you think about movies where it's more or less being a parody on the horror genre, like Scary Movie?
Oh, yeah, that's great. But I mean, that's also, that is a parody movie. Like, you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, that's all comedy, horror at the same time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in Evil Dead or Army of Darkness, or a great one, Dead Alive, if you haven't seen it.
I've not.
Dead Alive is Peter Jackson, when it was a New Zealand film, and the long and short of it is this guy is a mama's boy. He does everything for his mom. She abuses him by how controlling she is. She gets bit by a rat monkey at the zoo. And this rat monkey is known to basically cause like a a form of zombieism. Well, she gets turned into this monster. Everyone she attacks also gets turned into this monster. And this guy is still just trying to take care of his mom. But it's Peter Jackson, and the gore that he uses is specifically for comedic effect. Like at one point, there's a party where these monsters get out and start attacking everyone at the party, so everyone at the party turns into one of these monsters. And the main character pulls out a lawnmower, cranks it up, and then holds it up in the air and is spraying so much blood everywhere that at one point he's trying to run away and his feet are just moving like a cartoon because he's slipping on the floor. So the only way he can go is from jumping to body part because that's the only solid substance on the ground.
Oh my God.
It is, I would recommend that movie. Dead Alive, hysterical, fantastic.
Ash and Dale
Tucker and Dale.
Thank you. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. That's another really good one.
Yeah. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
And they did a brilliant thing with that is it was another take on the genre altogether. Mm-hmm. You know, the genre of these mountain people who kill the college kids.
Mm-hmm.
And now you see
Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. Where you see, oh, this is just a misunderstanding.
Yeah, these are just some hicks who don't know what they're doing and some college kids overthinking everything.
Yeah, and they're actually supposed to be making a sequel to that as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So there's every few years a movie comes out that says based on true events. Mm-hmm. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they said the same thing, but it's not really, none of that happened.
I think adding that sentence, for me, makes something 10 times scarier just automatically.
Well, and that's why they did it.
Yeah. So there was, they were called and I want to say this is around the 1800s, the Bloody Benders. The Bloody Benders was the name of this quote-unquote family that would take in people who were traveling across country, and they would murder and rob them. They weren't actually a family. They were just a group of psychopaths who found each other and
became psychopath best friends.
Yeah, well, but one of the things that they did is they had a fake wall in the dining room. So when people were eating, the wall would open up, someone would come up behind them and club them in the back of the head. So you kind of get that a little bit in Texas Chainsaw Massacre with the sliding door. It's not a hidden door, but it's a sliding door. But that family, again, not a real family, they killed, I think it was a senator's brother who was traveling across country. And the senator basically called someone from the military, like a general or something, and said, hey, can you find out what happened to my brother? So this guy goes there, almost gets killed himself, but discovers, hey, these people are lunatics. And the family just dispersed. And they're gone. Like, they were never caught, never apprehended. Like, that's a terrifying story.
To move into your neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm. What? And you don't know. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what's scary about that aspect of it. Or have you heard of the Ken and Barbie killers?
I have not, no.
A couple this was in Canada, couple who were an attractive couple, and they killed young women, like raped and murdered. And then when they were eventually caught, the wife claimed that the husband threatened to kill her if she didn't do all these horrible things. So she got an immunity. And then during the trial, they find these videos and discover she was a much more active participant than she let on. Mm-hmm. But she didn't serve very long in prison at all. She's out. She's remarried, changed her name, but like she's out there. Like the fact that there are people like that, those are the horror films that really kind of mess with me, are the ones where this could happen.
There's some statistics on stuff like that too. So there was some show on Netflix where it was like 100 people and they just put them through a bunch of random tests. And one of them was like a trial where they would show what the person looked like and then do list the crime they did, and they're like, all right, how long should we punish them? And then they do the same thing with a different group of people who don't see the picture.
Right.
Or it was a picture of someone who looked sketchy versus a picture of someone who was like nice and clean cut. Yeah. And they gave them different sentences based on that alone.
Yeah.
So the whole like Barbie doll effect, like that, everything like that plays in.
Women do generally get lighter sentences.
Yeah. We take pity on us.
Well, that's something about so psychopaths or antisocial personality disorder, like the thing that is sociopaths and psychopaths, the people without a moral compass.
Yeah.
They make up 1% of the population. And it's predominantly men, and this is why I think this is an amazing caveat that everything that I've read on the subject said. We think it's mostly men. Women could possibly just be better at hiding it, which is more than likely true.
Women are great at hiding emotion. Sometimes we also wear it on our sleeve, but you know.
Yeah. Unless it's the end of Gremlins and then you cry like a baby.
100%.
Do you have a go-to horror film? Like when someone's like, I want to watch something scary.
Easily The Thing, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the movie I recommend everybody watch.
And that's kind of like a sci-fi horror, which is a genre all on its own.
For sure, and it also delves into body horror.
Yep.
Just the discontortion of people. And
Cronenberging.
Mm-hmm.
And just the practical effects that they use in that.
Yeah.
Also a cheap movie to make.
Yeah. The Thing is like one of those movies too where you also have this isolation element.
It's very claustrophobic too.
Where do you go? You can't get away. And that a great point in horror films, we have to go down into the basement. Why?
Yeah.
No, just get the fuck outside.
Yeah. Why run into this cabin in the woods? Just go back in your car and GTFO.
But like I had the really good horror, like going back to the Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead movie, they needed the book to stop the horror that was happening. But the book got thrown down into the basement with one of the Deadites.
Yeah.
So then there's this reason of we don't want to go down there. We have to go down there. And it's like, I hate when movies don't give you the excuse. They're like, what's that sound? I don't know. Let's go check it out.
No,
and then
let's
axe in the
leave.
head. There are so many moments like that. Are either of you like believe in the paranormal at all, or?
Yes and no.
I don't until I see something and I go, it definitely exists.
I've seen some things and I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Like, I don't believe in any of it. But that being said, I love ghost stories and I love scary, like, campfire stories. But I worked at this building and we were all closing up one night and they were like, oh yeah, this part of the building over here is haunted. If you turn out all of the lights and go over there, you will experience something for sure. And I said, turn out all of the lights, I'm going over there. Mind you, that's how like I'm going to get killed by like a crackhead or something.
100%.
Like my friends and I talked about doing like a, like one of those ghost hunter type shows. But the whole point is like, if it was the three of us, they were like, okay, this is what happened in this building. We're here to debunk that it's haunted. But the idea is you and I would go off on our own and force her to be all by herself.
I did not agree to this.
That's what would make the show funny. People watching you get scared.
Meanwhile, one of us just dresses in like a cultist outfit with a glow stick, just starts walking down the hall towards her.
Throws rocks into the corners of the rooms that she's in.
I'm screaming like a fucking child.
And our ratings go through the roof.
You're not wrong.
Do you have anything that you think makes like a good horror film a good horror film?
A real sense of tension. There's got to be some reason why the characters have to deal with the threat, like you mentioned with the book in the basement, right? Not necessarily them having to be isolated, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be some kind of, maybe it be a supernatural force or a monster, some device to keep us engaged.
Right.
Because I hate it when horror movies kind of just dawdle on for a while and it's like, oh, what's the threat again? Oh yeah, they're big dude with a knife is 3 houses down. What are we going to do about it?
Yeah, you're just trying to fill time. I think like Poltergeist is a great example of this. If there is really some sort of paranormal entity in your house, you're not going to beat it. Like you can't you're not going to win. There's no like.
Not everyone's got a crucifix.
I mean,
we can't just say a spell.
I got some iron, you know.
Their house literally implodes, and they're like, "Well, let's leave." I think the good horror films, or not all good horror films, but what I think makes a good horror film is that you're dealing with something that we can't possibly comprehend. How are you going to defeat it? It's not about defeating it, it's about escaping it.
Even just surviving, right?
Did you see the movie Oculus?
No.
Karen Gillan, who was, she was in Doctor Who, she was Amelia Pond, and she was in the Marvel movies as Gamora's sister.
No, the blue chick?
Yeah, that's her name, Blue Chick.
Yeah.
God, it'll come to me. But
probably sound like Nebula or something.
Nebula
sounds right, yeah.
But she's in it, and it's one of those things where there's a mirror that is haunted. And what is so great is the premise of the movie is, yeah, this mirror, everyone who's been around this mirror has died a horrific death. And someone in her family at the beginning of the movie dies a horrific death due to this mirror. Her brother is institutionalized, and now that he's of like legal age, she can get him out of the institution. And her plan is, we're going to destroy this mirror.
Okay.
And it's a supernatural. It's not the ghost of a person. This is not. It's like the movie 1408. It's this building is haunted. This room is haunted, and what they do in the final act of that movie is just a total mind fuck, because no matter what they do, they're kind of screwed. And there are all of these moments where you think, just get out of the house. Don't try to kill the mirror.
Yeah, just move and never come back.
But I went and saw that with an ex, and I remember thinking, she's cool with horror films. Like, I know we've watched horror films together. That final act goes so bonkers and crazy. I looked over at her one point because she was like shaking. And so it was like out of the corner of my eye to see her hands moving. And I turn, I look, she is in tears. She won't look at the screen. She has her hands like horse blinders, and her whole body is convulsing. And I'm thinking, I don't want to leave this theater right now. So I say, are you okay? Do we need to go? And she's like, no. I can't look at the screen. But she was bawling her eyes out. And again, another good movie to recommend.
See, after saying that, I don't know that that's a good movie to recommend for me. I freaked out when you said mirror.
Let's see if it's streaming anywhere that you can watch it for free.
So you mentioned the mirror being haunted. That kind of put me in a space here for a subgenre of horror that is technology based.
Oh yeah,
where you have like The Ring, where it was the VHS tape that would put on that ring on the TV. Or there was a movie that came out recently where it was a kid who had autism who had like an iPad that had a companion app with him.
Right.
And he downloaded some app that basically summoned a demon into the world, and he could see it through the camera lens of the iPad.
So you have to be 21 to drink, but to summon a demon and get a Ouija board, you just have to be 8.
Yeah.
So you can just download an app and summon a demon. It's no biggie.
But where they incorporate the latest aspect of technology and kind of scare you with that, I find to be an interesting space. Like they need to make an Amazon drone horror movie.
But if you think about it, like a lot of horror movies do that when there's something new, like nuclear power. When nuclear power was new and frightening, you had all of these movies like Godzilla, that he was created by radioactivity. Or you have all of these, giant spider movies where a nuclear testing site, the radiation penetrated the ground, and now these giant monsters are emerging. And they do that with horror films as well. Like you said, like there's that one where the app tells you when you're gonna die. Was it Death Clock?
You're looking to the wrong person.
I downloaded the app.
Something like that.
Of course you did.
Countdown? Yeah, Countdown.
Or even just the invasion stereotype when we had the Red Scare.
I have 24 years and 118 days left, according to the Countdown app. I am not going to delete this app from my phone.
Hey, I tell you what, you got a while left.
Yeah, I mean...
24 years is a good bit.
But, like, I know people who downloaded the app because they released it with the movie coming out, and they were like, 3 months!
Oh, no!
Technology is huge in horror films because that's something that people are afraid of in general. People are afraid of change.
Well, people are afraid of the toaster taking over, you know?
Have you seen the toaster with the touchscreen?
What?
They have a toaster with a touchscreen?
Not only
Can I
does it
control how burnt my toast is? Oh.
You can select the color that you want your toast to be. It is it's like $300 or something, but I kind of want it.
Yeah, hon, can we get a new toaster?
Hold on. Side thought here. The toaster made me think of a horror movie that I saw on Amazon Prime, like Killer Sofa.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
Like
that whole line of shitty, scary
I
movies.
love B-movie horror films. Like
That shot of the chair looking out the window was unbelievably hysterical.
Or like the fucking tire rolling down the hill that kills people.
What was the... I saw another one about killer pants. Killer pants...
There's a whole, like...
I know there's one where like a girl's vagina eats people.
Yeah, Teeth.
That was a good movie, though.
I watched the first 5 minutes and we turned it off.
Slacks is the name of the movie. Slacks with 2 X's. And it's a pair of jeans get like
so it's
blood
like
on them
Sisterhood of the
in the
Traveling
system.
Pants, except it's
But yeah, you put on these pants, they squeeze your body, and you'll die. And then
skinny jeans.
Oh, but it's again, if you know you're making a bad movie,
Yeah.
I love it.
Uh-huh.
If it's like The Room,
Like Poultrygeist.
yeah, or like you said, Velocipaster. If you know you're doing it and it's tongue in cheek, it's great. But if you just make a bad movie, there's nothing good about that.
No.
I used to love getting, like, I would go buy them, like the $5 bin at Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
And I would look for those really shitty horror films, and I would watch those. I have a subscription to Shudder right now, and it's like $6 a month, but it's the horror movie channel. There's so much garbage on there, but even that garbage I'll still like to watch because I'll find some redeeming qualities to it. But then there's some where I'm like, oh, this is just a shitty movie.
Yeah, like I was at Walmart Christmas shopping this year, or I guess last year now, and I found a movie called Dinosaur Hotel.
Ooh.
$3.99. Absolutely slam jam kind of movie. Give it to my sister.
Is it a horror?
Yeah, it's just a shitty dinosaur movie. It's not necessarily horror, but fits
What was that other shitty dinosaur movie we bought at Dinoland?
10 million BC.
Oh,
we bought it for $1.
So bad.
Yeah.
It was technically a horror movie, though.
It's like Sharknado bad. Like they're all.
Oh no, it's worse than Sharknado bad.
Where do you draw the line that something is now horror? Because I feel like that's kind of
times I scream. I feel
There's
like
people called Jurassic Park a horror movie.
Yeah,
but now I wouldn't.
I mean, you're not wrong.
But I mean, some people say like that certain movies like Jurassic Park is
or like Jaws.
Jaws.
And
Jaws
Godzilla.
scared the shit out of people.
Yeah, but also how society changes, where there were movies like back in the black and white movie days. Where
like Frankenstein,
they would claim that people would lose their mind because it was so terrifying. And you watch it now and you're like, what is this bullshit? Like, this is not scary. But there was, there were, back before, like, the rating system, movie theaters were generally the whole family goes. But then, George Romero's Night of the Living Dead was so graphic and gory that they ended up saying, oh, we should not advise children to see this. And then you get into the whole, 70s, let's see some titties and
you
cut
brought
people
up
up.
a movie before we started recording. It was found footage.
Cannibal Holocaust.
Yes. That fucking movie.
I walk away for 2 seconds and you guys are talking about cannibals.
Cannibal Holocaust
Banned in
is...
several countries.
Yeah, have you seen it?
Yeah.
So someone gave it to me for my birthday one year. And I was at work, and we always watched horror films, because it was like an entertainment space. We always watched horror films in there. we're watching that movie, and I went, I should not be watching this at work.
It is just beyond fucked up.
Do you know the story behind it?
I know nothing about this.
So it was, I think it was 1980. This Italian filmmaker wanted to make a movie that was scary. Now, here's what like hadn't really been done before. He made it. It was a found footage movie. This invented the genre of the found footage movie. And the story was these, and when he was casting it, he said, I don't want any sort of names. I want people to believe that this is real. Mm-hmm. So he went to NYU, grabbed some theater students, and the story was there was a camera crew who went out, found some natives in South America somewhere. I think it was South America. And they get murdered and eaten by these. They never show up. No one ever finds that footage. So these people from New York say, my brother was part of an expedition. I want to go find out what happened to him. So they go down there with their own camera crew, and they encounter these same cannibals as well. So that seems kind of run-of-the-mill, nothing too exceptional. So the reason the movie got the director went to prison is they murdered some animals to make it. And I remember the first animal that I think you see them kill is a turtle, where he slits the turtle's neck, and when you see it, you're like, oh, that was not a visual effect. You can tell right away. Mm-hmm. And then there's the monkey, where they put like a blade on the top of this monkey's head, and you see his little hands grab at the blade, and they cut the top of his head off. And it's very obvious that this is not a special effect. And right away, that's when I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. Like that was upsetting. And then there are some rapes that happen. It's horrific. But what happened is he told the actors, because all of the actors die, which is why it's found footage. He tells the actors when they finish filming, okay, go away for a few months. Like, I don't want people to know that you're real. The movie gets released. I think initially it's in Italy. Immediately it's pulled out of the theaters. And a judge pulls the director in and says, one, I know you killed these animals. And two, we can't find these actors. We think you murdered these people. So he's calling these people going, hey, be alive now. Be alive. It did get banned for a while in the US. It got banned in a lot of countries. But it ended up kind of picking up momentum through word of mouth of people going, you have to see this horror show.
It's kind of the boogeyman at this point.
It is. And it's like, I was about to say, I don't really want to recommend people go watch it because you don't need to.
No, I'm good.
But in a weird way, you have to appreciate what they created.
While it was tasteless, it was a very unique vision.
Right.
I feel like that's low-key starting to appreciate the concept of a snuff film.
Yeah, I mean, not the idea of if a snuff film was faked, then yeah, I'm all on board.
Yeah, but I'm talking like legit.
I don't think I've ever seen an actual snuff film. I don't think, like, I've seen a lot of fake ones. No, there was something when I was growing up called Faces of Death that was like it was supposed to be the taboo, like, this is people dying, but it was like, they were actually fake. But like with Cannibal Holocaust, they invented an entire new genre of movie. What they did was shitty. Like, what they did was horrible. But the idea of the style is the thing that you have to say, nobody else thought of doing that. But now, we had Blair Witch Project, another Central Florida film. It was UCF students. Well, you know what they did that was brilliant with that is, and those directors actually would mention Cannibal Holocaust after the fact, of that being the inspiration, the found footage. But what they did with Blair Witch, the marketing. I don't know, were you guys old enough even when Blair Witch came out?
I was 1 year old when it came out.
Holy moly. I've got to go.
It's past your bedtime?
I gotta go take my teeth out.
You forgot to dial up your internet.
What their marketing behind that was that this is real. It's like based on true events. Mm-hmm. But they had websites developed that were basically about the Blair Witch, not the movie, about the legend. Mm-hmm. And so when you started looking up research,
folklore, that's cool.
They did. Mm-hmm. And when you start trying to do research on it, all you're finding are, oh yeah, this has been around for a while. This is new. This isn't new. This is a real thing.
Yeah.
This has to be real. We don't know who these actors are. They're not actors. These are people who are mysterious and dead. Mm-hmm. The rumor mill behind that movie. And this is where it was kind of ruined for me. I was working in a dinner theater here in town, and I was watching one of the true story of the Blair Witch sort of documentaries. So it's all about the legend and about the mystery behind these woods. And I'm watching it, and then they interview this guy, and I go, oh, it's Bob. I work with him. And then another friend of mine was almost cast as one of the characters. Like, he made it down to, like, the final. It was between him and one other guy. And I was like, oh, shit, this is all fake.
God damn it, people didn't die.
But what a great job of putting that question out there. Mm-hmm. And none of the actors really came out until after the movie had really kind of that initial wave. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we've seen any of them since.
I doubt it.
You didn't see Bob ever again?
No, I saw Bob. But the sequels, again, going back to that, they made a movie for super cheap. It was college students who made it. It made a shit ton of money, and they had to pump out some sequels. And there was Blair Witch 2, Curse of the Blair Witch. Is there a TV series? I know there's a VR game, a Blair Witch VR game.
Fucking VR games, man. That's a whole other subspace that I would hate to get into.
I struggle enough with not VR scary games. I would not be able to handle VR. I think I would actually have a heart attack.
Oh. No, we'd break our TV. For sure.
I'd break more than the TV.
That's why you clear out a space. And, like, so back when I had a roommate, it was when I got my first VR system. And I remember playing, like, I was like, I'm only going to play these horror games when I know I'm the only one home. Because I don't want my roommate to be a dick and, like...
just grab you.
Yeah, scare the shit out of me, literally, probably. But there was an Exorcist VR game.
Oh, God.
And you're a detective trying to solve these crimes, and you're in this church, and there's this crime scene. And I remember there being a scene where I walked down a hall to... It's always a hall. I walk down a hall and go into this office. But before you go into the office, there's an angel statue right in front of you.
Oh, this is fucking Doctor Who.
Like a weeping angel?
Weeping angel bullshit.
Well, no, so you go into the office, you do your stuff, and then you leave the office. The angel is on your left, up against the wall. Mm-hmm. You turn back to your right, go down the hallway, and then you just hear this voice behind you go, turn around, the fucking statue is right in front of you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I remember... I don't do jumps. Like, jump scares don't normally get me. I'm one of those lunatics that walks through a haunted house, like at Halloween Horror Nights, and nothing phases me.
I went through fucking Ghostbusters haunted house. I was terrified.
I made such a sound when I turned around and saw that angel. And I just my arms flailed and I did the...
All right. We're going to have to wrap up here soon, so...
All right.
Todd.
Yes.
Top 3 horror movie recommendations can be something crazy, a normal movie, and a classic.
All right. So I would say The Changeling for sure. I love that movie. Something crazy? I think something crazy... Attack of the Killer Tomatoes?
Man, I said crazy, and I was thinking you were going to still go with something pretty normal here.
Oh, no, that's a crazy movie.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. I'm going to have to turn that on after this.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Oh, it's a whole theme.
Is it actually a musical? Or?
Yeah, no. But they made a cartoon based on it.
Veggie Tales.
Shit with Sweeney Todd.
And then one that I think I mean, I think The Changeling is probably obscure, that a lot of people wouldn't know that, but as far as like a mainstream horror film, I would say, oh, you know what? Here's a recommendation. There was a movie that came out during the pandemic called Host, and the entire thing takes place on a video chat of friends doing a seance.
Okay,
on a
I know
video
which one
chat.
you're talking about. Oh,
And
I saw trailers for that.
I thought it was going to be garbage because a friend of mine who makes films for a living, I called him up like right around like the first few months of the pandemic, and when everyone was doing the streaming like meetings and stuff. And I said, hey, you know what we should do is we should do like a Zoom horror film. I think we can do something like that. And he said, I think there's one that's in production already. And then sure enough, like a few weeks later, it came out.
man, they just churned that thing out.
They did, but I mean, it was literally
What else are they
recorded.
gonna do?
It was recorded on their computers. So it's not like they needed a studio or anything.
All they had to do was screen capture.
And so I watched it thinking it was going to be this garbage movie. And I was like, we could do it better. We could do it better. And when I finished the movie, I went, they actually did a really good job. They did a good job.
My turn. I want to recommend something.
Go ahead and recommend.
Apparently, what is it? The Grimm brothers? Brothers Grimm? The fucking horse is going to eat that kid.
I got to see that scene now.
Brothers Grimm is your recommendation?
I guess so.
All right.
Still haunts me to this fucking day.
The Brothers Grimm.
I will recommend 3 movies.
All right.
The Fly with Jeff Goldblum, specifically that one.
Classic.
Absolutely fantastic movie. A newer movie, The Ritual.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It is a movie about 4 dudes.
I have seen that one.
Okay, that describes it enough.
Yeah. That
4
is,
dudes.
Where they're mountain climbing?
Yeah.
Yep.
One of them busts their ankle, and suddenly you're being hunted by one of the child of Loki.
Yeah.
Super cool movie. And then final movie I'll recommend, Alien, just because I've already talked enough about the thing.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, I was waiting for the thing.
Yeah, Alien space horror, man. That's Dead Space if you like the games.
Nope.
I mean, that was 1979, I think? Yeah, 79. So, I mean, you didn't really see any space horror before then, because, Star Wars came out in 77?
But that wasn't even horror.
Yeah, Star
Well,
Wars is
I'm just
not.
saying, just in terms
Yeah.
of, space stuff, you didn't see much.
Yeah, like there was sci-fi like Buck Rogers and not Buck Rogers. What am I thinking of? Like Flash, Flash Gordon, like the old black and white ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a game changer.
Yeah, and talk about monster design there.
Oh yeah, beautiful stuff.
But already, I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping it up here. Jen, where can you find both you and I?
So you can find both Zach and myself at Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, and Spotify at Nerd Culture is Dead.
And Todd, where can I hear you scream?
You can hear me scream if you are in the Central Florida area. Go to a movie theater, turn on your phone. No, you can find me at toddferen.com, TODDFEREN.com. I have books, links to my books on Amazon there. I have a new book coming out in a couple weeks, which is a multiverse adventure. So yeah, check it out.
Alrighty, guys. Well, thanks for listening in, and just to make sure you don't look behind you. I will not be behind you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.